Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda and I'm a gardener here in Zone 6 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And today I don't really have a plan on a video, but I know I want to get a video uploaded. Sorry, there's a plane going overhead. I live close to Cincinnati Airport, and so there's always planes coming in and taking off overhead. Right now I am actually watering my garden. I did have like the soaker hoses along my in-ground beds, but I think I need to reset them up for next season, simply because they're not watering my beds as evenly as I would hope. So I'm going through and watering everything with my hose. I typically like to water the soil, not just the plant. Or the leaves. Watering the leaves can lead to more fungus and infections on your leaves versus just watering the soil, which is why I would really like to have that soaker hose, because then I can just turn it on, set a timer, because I will forget to turn it off, and then turn it off when time goes off. But because I am watering with my hose, I'm not watering as deeply as I would if I had the hose or the soaker hoses on. So I am having to water more frequently, which is fine because it gets me in the garden and really looking at things. Because a lot of my plants, you can kind of tell they're a little droopy, and it's because it's been so hot these past few weeks. But I think today we're gonna check on the pumpkins. So I have 2 pumpkins. I don't know what variety they are, simply because they were volunteers. So my wooden bed that I have on the opposite side of my garden was kind of like a volunteer garden this year. Volunteer being that seeds from either my compost or that were spread from critters or that were dropped from last year's plants, overwintered in the soil, and then regrew in the spring. So this spring I had a pumpkin plant, and then I had 2 tomatillo plants, which I love tomatillos. I don't cook with them very often, so I have been gifting them to my sister, who makes salsa all the time, and then also my other sister, my stepsister. She makes some really good salsas as well. And so I gifted her a batch of tomatillos, along with my others. Both my sisters got tomatillos this year. So I think what I'm planning on doing, because I am planning on doing a fall/winter garden this year, more winter garden than I've ever done before. My fall gardens have never really been super successful, just because fall gardening is one of those, it can be kind of tricky just trying to get the timing right. You just got to get it in the ground at the right time, but those plants are maturing when it's starting to really get cooler outside, because you don't want them to be fighting for survival while trying to produce. But a lot of those brassicas and root crops do better in the cool weather because they become sweeter. And some of those crops just like the cool weather. But you do have to be mindful with the fact that as we near our first frosts, our first estimated frost, the days are going to be getting shorter, which means the time of sunlight, direct sunlight, full sun is going to shorten, which means our days are going to be shorter. Those plants aren't going to be growing as quickly as if they were in the summer gardens. So something that may take 60 days to maturity in the summer may take 70, 75 during the fall and in the spring. Let me just finish watering the garden and we'll go check on the pumpkins. Everything is so sad. So, you guys can see that pumpkin back there, which I'm sure you can. It's bright orange in comparison to all those dark green leaves. My pumpkin plant is massive. I can't believe how big this thing is, especially since a lot of the plant had been damaged from all of the bugs. And then it also got vine borers, which I did nothing to prevent them, didn't even try to take them out. So I don't know how this plant has survived. I really think it has rerooted itself in a couple of different spots, which has made it so it's survived. But it's got creeping Jenny on it. It's got some ivy. The whole thing is just wild. And on another note, our little pumpkin seedlings, which are not pumpkin, our potato seedlings are doing well. I think they're starting to set off little leaves. So the last time, I think this guy's a little uprooted. Last time we went ahead and put these guys in here, but I think they're starting to actually set off. They are, they definitely are. Oh, cool. So we might get another fall succession of, I believe these are the Adirondack Blue, which were the variety that grew the fastest, went to maturity the fastest. So we'll see how they end up doing. Maybe we'll get a fall succession of potatoes. That'd be super cool. So the Greenstalk filled to the brim with a whole bunch of things that need to be harvested. But I need to not get sidetracked here. We're gonna go check on the pumpkins. So I'm pretty sure the pumpkins are ready to be harvested. We've got 2 on this plant. One is massive. And I'm definitely gonna have to pull out my scale. I don't usually use a scale, but I am gonna pull out the scale for this pumpkin because, well, I've never grown successfully pumpkins. And a lot of that reason is because of the squirrels. The squirrels always get to these pumpkins before I can get to them myself. But this year, after a while, they just left them alone. And I don't know if they just got overwhelmed or they found a different food source or what. Because I've got 2 pumpkins and I am ecstatic about it. I have no idea what variety they are, but they're big, they're beautiful, and I'm so excited. So let's get the pumpkins. So I have you guys on the wide angle, but this pumpkin is so big and it's warty, which is cool. I think it looks cool. So we got this big guy, which it is hard. It does look like it might have gotten bit or gnawed at when it was a little bit smaller, but it's not rotting right there. So I think we got a good pumpkin. I'm gonna grab my boots just because I don't know what's crawling back there, and my little hay dudes aren't gonna do the trick. I need something that's gonna cover my feet. So I'm gonna grab some boots. Look how beautiful these pumpkins are. Okay, so this one is definitely more uniform in shape, which is cool. They have these beautiful little warts on them, which is so cool. Again, I have no idea what variety these pumpkins are. They just decided to grow, and here we are. So this one is definitely a lot heavier than the other one, but it's got a funky shape because he was laying on his side. I can't believe I grew those pumpkins. They're just, I grew this. And I didn't even plant it. I honestly, I could say I did nothing and this grew. So pumpkins are out. Let's go weigh these bad boys, and then we'll talk about what I'm gonna be doing with this bed for this fall. Okay, we'll start with the smaller pumpkin first. You guys can see this. 13.5 pounds. It's a pretty good size. I do say so myself. And let's just check that because that wasn't balanced. 13.5. And then let's check this big bad boy. 22.9. Let me bring you guys in. Look at that. 22.9. That's a big pumpkin. Oh my gosh. Okay, so these guys are going to stay in a cool area in my basement because I will go ahead and use these as a decoration on my front porch. Maybe one of them, and maybe the other one I'll use for pumpkin pies. I have no idea what kind of texture these guys are gonna have because they're volunteers. They may not be good for eating. They may just be really cool decoration pumpkins. We will find out. They are beautiful, and I am so ecstatic that I grew some really beautiful volunteer pumpkins. I'm gonna thank my lucky stars that the volunteers decided to come for the pumpkins this year. All right, so we've got big, beautiful pumpkins, and my heart is so happy with those pumpkins. Crawl through my tunnel of dreams here, the loofahs. So this fall/winter, I originally had told you guys that I was thinking about doing a cold frame on this raised bed. I'm gonna go back on my word because the cold frame really should be on an in-ground bed, and I really want to make sure that I have the best chances of survival on my plants. So what I'm thinking is that this weekend I'm gonna go ahead and completely revamp this bed. So right now we have some tomatillos, we've got some eggplants, we've got some basils, we've got the pumpkin plants, which I think I'm going to go ahead and rip the pumpkin plant out because it gave me 2 beautiful pumpkins, and I'm gonna be happy with that, and I'm gonna give this bed some new life. So I think I'm going to plant some shorter season crops in this spot. I also mistakenly said I had less than 70 days in my grow season. I actually have maybe 1 or 2 days more than 70 days now. And I shot that video like a week ago, so I was definitely off back then. So I'm thinking I'm going to put some bush beans, maybe some zinnias just for some pops of color towards the end of this grow season. I had planted some beans and I think some sunflowers and squash in this section of the bed. I think they got shaded out by the pumpkin plant, so they really didn't do much beyond sprouting and then disappearing. So that's where I'm thinking for this bed is bush beans, things that are gonna sprout and produce all and come in flushes all at once. Whew. That was a cicada that scared the living daylights out of me. Okay, so bush beans versus the pole beans. Bush beans are gonna flush all of your beans all at once versus continuously producing throughout the season for as long as they can. So I think some bush beans would be really great in this raised bed. Now for the winter garden, I'm thinking of doing some little like low tunnels. So those are like, I think they're like 18 inches or they might be 30. They're very short, squatty, low to the ground, covered with either frost fabric or some like 6 mil plastic, something that's going to really give them warmth throughout the night, that you go ahead and remove during the day so that those plants can soak up all the sun, and so that they don't crisp. But I'm thinking for those, I'm actually going to be doing my brassica bed in this in-ground bed, because I have only, there's some tomato plants in there. It's really, this bed is not producing a whole lot, and it is overridden with weeds. My burdock root has flowered and gone to seed and since is now dying. I need to go ahead and trim a lot of that garden bed back, but I think I'm going to do my brassicas, so my cauliflower, my cabbages, some Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts, I'm not going to be starting from seed because they do take a really long time to get to the right transplant maturity. They're more of like 100+ day variety versus like your cauliflower, your broccoli. Those only need about 6 to 8 weeks to be for you to then transplant out, versus the Brussels sprouts need a little bit longer to get to that maturity. So I'm going to be purchasing my Brussels sprouts this year because I did not plan enough ahead to start Brussels sprouts from seed. So thinking brassicas over there. My garlic is going to be going, sorry, my garlic is going to be going in my top bed right there. So I'm not going to be planting anything there, but I will be doing a lot of successions of root veggies, as well as lettuces that are more frost tolerant in this lower bed. Again, it's so hard to tell where all my beds are because I have such long grass, tall grass I haven't cut, and there's just weeds galore. So for the winter, all of my raised beds, I am just going to give them a good compost, and I need to really buckle down and find a good mulching solution, because I do not like the fact that my soil is so bare. So much of the nutrients in the water gets wicked away, washed away, dried out, versus if I had mulching on my beds, it would keep the beds more moist, as well as making sure that the nutrients aren't just washing away with the rain. So yeah, this weekend we are going to get some beds prepped. We are going to get some fall seeds finally started. We're gonna get some things direct sown, and just get more of the beds squared away so that we can go ahead and hop into this new season with the right foot forward. So if you guys want to enjoy any of my other content, I'll go ahead and pop a video up here for you to enjoy until my next upload. But thank you guys so much for spending some time with me out in my garden, and I will see you guys in the next video.